Hello and welcome. This is Accounting on Excel with Amaka Ifebunando, the Excel coach. And in this training, I'll be showing you how to reconcile your cash book and your bank statement using the cash book manager. How to reconcile your cash book and your bank statement using the cash book manager. So this is a template designed to ease the task of bank reconciliation. As you can see, this is the dashboard and these are the navigation panels. You can navigate to different section of this template. So this practical training will be using a case study to reconcile the cash book of Amaka Fresh Juice and the bank statement of Amaka Fresh Juice, right? We receive the bank statement from the bank and we want to reconcile to ensure that there are no discrepancies. And where there are discrepancies, we take note of it and make the necessary entries, right? So first of all, before you start using this template, you will go to the business setting and input the business name. The case study here we are using is the Amaka Fresh Juice Company, and that is why we have the name here. So input your business name here. You have the sales tax rate. So we have tax code 01 and 02. So we have 7.5 for 01. Here it's left at 0, but if you have another tax rate, you can also include that tax rate. Then for your bank details, you can input your bank details here. For Amaka Fresh Juice, the bank, the business transact with is AZ Bank, which is called the AZ Bank Limited. So for other bank, if you have more than one bank, you can also include it. Just put in the code, put in the details, and definitely you gain access to it from other sections. So every other information is for your guidance. Here you have the error code and the reason for each error. And here you have chart of accounts. You can edit it to suit your business, right? Just ensure that the account type suits each of the account name you are inputting. If it's an income, ensure it's under income. If it's an expense type, ensure it's under the expense type, right? So that is it for the setting, right? So first of all, let's look at the cash transaction section because I just want us to see how we can reconcile our cash book and our bank statement. As you can see here, we have transactions that span for like 2 months from December 2023 through to the first month of January 2024. Now, in this section, the column you are entitled to input transaction in are for this column with the yellow headers. So from the column A right to column J, you are free to input. These columns here are already they have formula in it and automatically they fill in. So as you input your details here, they fill in automatically. So here you have the transaction date, you have the transaction type. Is it a deposit or withdrawal? It's a drop down. So you either choose deposit. If it's money coming in, it's a deposit. If you're making expenses, buying things, you understand, to transact, maybe to carry out your business, it's a withdrawal because money is leaving the bank. Then your customer details. So then you have your reference for maybe you have a reference in the book or your receipts, whatever that can help you trace this transaction. You can just input that reference. Might be an invoice number, right? Something that can help you trace the transaction, especially for now that you need to compare your cash book and your bank statement. Maybe there are things that are similar in your cash book and your bank statement. You can use that as reference so that it can be easy for you to trace the transaction on your bank statement. So you have the transaction description in this column. Then you have the amount. What amount are you selling this? So this is tax inclusive. Amount means that this amount is tax inclusive. So you charge your customer 21,000, and when you say it's tax inclusive, meaning that the tax amount is included in the amount you're charging the customer, right? Then the tax code. Immediately you select the tax code, as we stated in the settings section, we have the tax code for 01 to be 7.5%. So as you select that 01, it automatically computes the tax amount here. You can see the tax amount is computed here. So if it's tax exempt, if it's not taxable, like your withdrawals are not taxable, so you can just put the tax exempt and nothing is computed. So for all the sales that are taxable, for this business, Amaka Fresh Juice, her sales should include the tax amount in the amount she charged the customer. So the amount is tax inclusive. So for every sales she make on every juice she sells, there is a tax amount that is included in that amount that is given to the customer. So we calculate that tax element so that we can remit to the relevant tax authority when it's time. So you select the bank from which you're making this transaction, meaning that are they the bank they are making payment to. For Amaka Freight Juice, most of the transaction is done through transfers. So they are making it into the business account AZ Bank. And most of the expenses also is done from the AZ Bank bank. So this is why the major business account Amaka Freight Juice is using is AZ Bank. So you have the account name here. The account name is what we have set up in our chart of accounts over here, which I showed you earlier. So as you impute it, like Freight Juice, you know it's income from product. So when you come in here, you see we have drop down list. We have income from product. Amaka Freight Juice is a product-based business. If your business is a service-based, you can impute it. You may be doing the two. There are businesses that offer product and service, right? Maybe Amaka Freight Juice may start doing trainings to train people on how to produce fresh juice. At that point, it's a service. She's also doing selling her product and also rendering service. So you have the leverage to have different kind of sources of income into your business. Ensure you select it so that when you're viewing your report on your cash report section, you can be able to know what amount came in from your sales of products and sales of services, right? So that is it. So you can see other expenses, different type of expenses, your assets account. You can just look at them and select from them on this column, right? So for this bank statement date, this is a bank statement column. What this column does is for you to impute the date this transaction appeared on your bank statement. You do that at the point of reconciliation or even on a monthly basis, let's say on a weekly basis, because you can reconcile your books on a weekly basis, you can reconcile it on a monthly basis, right? But it's good you do it on at least on on a monthly basis, right? So when you pick up your bank statement, the next thing is for each of these transactions, what day did it appear? Because there are transactions that may take place in December. As you can see, we have transaction here for December. This transaction, we can see them here, but they've not, they are not, we've not imputed, we didn't see them in December, meaning that something likely it didn't appear in our bank. The money didn't appear in our bank in December. Maybe we are expecting to see it in January, right? So this is the essence of this column, and this column helps us with our bank reconciliation. You will see that when we get to that section, right? So we already have our transaction, our cash book transaction, right? So I will also show you the bank statement. Let's look at the bank statement. This is the December bank statement from AZ Bank Limited. You see Amaka Freight Juice and AZ Limited, AZ Bank Limited statement as at 31st December 2023. So this is the bank statement for December. I will also receive the bank statement for January, which I've to an extent done my analysis to know what is in here, what is not in here, so that at the point of reconciliation, you'll see how it works. So this is the bank statement we'll be using to reconcile. Currently, our December is well reconciled, right? Our December is well reconciled. So we'll be reconciling the January books to ensure that it tallies with what is in the bank and what is in the cash book, tallies, and where there are discrepancies, we make the necessary entry to reconcile the book, right? So let's just go back to the cash book manager. So we've seen the bank statement column. Then let's just look at the other section of the this cash book manager before we go into reconcile, right? So we have the cash book section, the cash report section, right? The cash book report section. And one thing you have to know is that the only place you have to make inputs are these places with the yellow inputs. Here you put in the start date. What report do you want to generate? Say input report start date. So 1st of December 2023. Then what bank? Because you may be using different banks, right? You may be using different banks. Just as we saw in the settings section, you have leverage to have different banks. So I want to generate statement for transaction that I made through AZ Bank. And what is the transaction type? It can be all. So you may say only deposit, all the deposit that was made from 1st January, from 1st December 2023. And it's important to know that the first date you selected here, that's the month. You see the month here, and from that month to 12th month, from December 2023, count 12 months, it will be to November 2024, right? So that is one thing you need to know. So if I impute January, from January 2024, you see from here you have January 2024 through to December 2024. So meaning that the first date you impute here will determine your report start date and the month, right? So you have your transaction type. So if you say all, it will bring in both the deposit and the withdrawal. So you may want to see only deposit, you may want to see only withdrawal, whichever one you just select and you see the report. All these here are already automated, they generate automatically. So your input here will definitely give you the details, like the amount of reduce here, they generate automatically, right? These are formula design, so there's no need of you of tempering anything. Just input the details here and everything here will just pop, generate the report, right? So let's just go to the cash transaction column. We want to reconcile, but before then, let's look at our bank reconciliation. Let's see where we are. So you can see that as at December, for the bank reconciliation section, and I will also want to state that you have limited input to make here. Just select the bank you want to reconcile. For Amaka Frederius, we deal with AZ Bank strictly. That's the business account we work with, right? So your business may have multiple accounts, right? So for this business that we are using as a case study, AZ Bank is our major business account, right? So what month do you want to reconcile? You need to select the last day of the month. So if it's January, 31st January 2024. Now, for now, you're seeing we have 31st December 2023, and it's already reconciled. So when you input select the bank, then input the last day of the month. The last day of the month you want to reconcile. Then you come in here, that bank statement that was sent to you from the bank. What is the closing balance? So you impute the closing balance. When you impute the closing balance, then every other thing here generates. So if your book is not reconciled, you go to your cash book and compare with your bank statement and make all the necessary adjustments where you need to. Right. So this is what we'll be doing. As at December 2023, our book is reconciled. As you can see, balance. If it's reconciled, it will say balance. If it is not reconciled, it will tell you not balance. So you just have three inputs to make on the reconciliation section. The bank you want to reconcile, the date, which is the last day of the month, as at that day, then the bank statement, the balance of that statement. So we are doing for December 2023. Right? So what is the bank statement balance, the closing balance as at 31st December, based on the statement that was sent to you from the bank? Check the closing balance and input that balance here. These are the only three inputs you need to do. Right. So let's look at our cash transaction section. Notice the transaction date. Let's just see how many months that are here. So we have 2023 and we have 2024. All right. So for 2023, I believe it's just December, right? And for 2024, we have just January. So just for you to know that. So as you can see from our reconciliation, we have reconciled December. But let's just look at December transaction. Let's just zoom into December transaction only and let's see. All right, so you can see we have all this here is December, and you've noticed that there are December transactions we've not reconciled. As I stated earlier, when reconciling a particular month, this column, bank statement column, helps you with the reconciliation. So for this transaction, you look at it, check your bank statement. When did it appear in your bank statement? So from what we are seeing here, it means that this transaction did not appear in the bank statement of December 2023, meaning that we are expecting to see this transaction in January bank statement, right? So it's something we should note. So for it to be blank and our December reconciliation is okay, it means that these transactions are yet to appear on the bank statement as at December. So we are probably looking at January to see that these transactions will appear in the bank statement for January, because there are transactions you do and maybe network glitches, timing differences will make the transaction not to appear. But in your cash book, you've captured it because that was the day you did the transaction, right? But bank statement, maybe the transfer, the customer has made the transfer, but timing difference moved it, rather than, because you can see it's 29th, almost close to the end of the month, it's entered into the next month. So these are differences, these are the events that can happen and that can cause differences between your cash book and your bank statement, right? So that is one thing we should note. So if you look at our bank statement for January, notice here, you see December transaction cleared. You see the four transactions, this and this. These are those transactions we did not see in December. You can see them in January. So you see this two now. This one is 3rd, 5th, and this one is on the 6th and on the 6th. So we can go back and put 3rd of January, 3rd of January 2024, 2024, and this is 5th of January 2024, and this is 6th of January 2024. These two, I think we have 2/6 of January, so I just copied this. Good. So at least we are sure that this transaction, you can see them 7, 5, 10, 10,500, 5,500, 6,500. So you can see it from this point to this point for transaction 7, 5, 10, 5, 5, 5, 6, 5. Right. So we've gotten that, we've cleared that. So let's just clear this. We can clear the filter to have other months. So now we have already looked at all the other transactions for January, and we're able to see them on our bank statement. As you can see, the green, just as the code here, green means it's cleared. Then this particular color is items in bank statement, not in cash book, right? Then this is bank charges. The formatting which red is bank charges and interest income. So for the cleared item, I think we have cleared them. So for all these items, we've seen them in the cash book and the bank statement, so it's cleared. So what is remaining now? There are items that are in bank statement, not in cash book. First of those items are your bank charges. As you can see, we have bank charges. Bank charges. You wouldn't know the charges the bank is charging you until you see your bank statement, right? So we have the bank charges. So we'll just sum the bank charges and impute it, and also have the interest income. So that's why we formatted it with a red font color, bank charges. Then this particular amount transfer, that means there is a transfer that we received and we forgot to impute on our cash book. So the bank statement, from the bank statement, we can see a transfer that was made into the bank. Right. So a customer made it, but maybe we forgot to impute it in our cash book. So we need to recognize this particular amount in the cash book, and all these charges and interest income. We also need to recognize it in the bank statement. So we'll sum all the bank charges, we'll sum everything up, and we'll also sum the interest income. The interest income is 3,640, and when you sum all the bank charges, I believe is going to give us 6,970.70. So if I'm to sum it all, let me just select it so that you can see the total. Here we go. So you have to take your time to look at the bank statement and the cash book alongside. All right, so you have to take your time to look at it. Good. So you can see we have 6,970.70. So we'll go back to our cash book and make this input. We'll go back to our cash book on the 31st. So we'll just copy this date. So first of all, let's recognize the deposit, which is our interest income. We'll just impute the interest income. So call it interest income, and the interest income is 3,640. So it's a tax exempt item. You don't tax your interest income again. So, and it's AZ Bank. So we'll just, and we can call it, I think there is an expense item called interest paid. Should we use interest paid? Yeah, or other income? We didn't pay the interest. I think other income. If we don't have interest income, let's use other income. So the same, let's use 31st because we noticed this the day we received our bank statement. So these are, we'll just use the 31st. So the next thing is the bank charges. The bank charges, I can just use Control D here. Bank charges is withdrawal. They took money from the bank. So charges, bank charges, I believe, yes. So say bank charges. Can I just use this and um, edit it to January 2024? January January 2024 bank charges, right? So the bank charges we had 6,970.70. Yes, 6,970.70. Yes, it's tax exempt. We are not taxing bank charges. So the same AZ from AZ. So this is bank. There should be a bank charge. Yes, there's a bank charges, and it appeared on the 34. So we received our statement and we saw it, right? So we just use the last day of that bank statement, right? So remember your entry stops in this column. You are not to make any entry here. And this is the last column. So notice, you see that there are items here we are not seeing in our bank statement, meaning that this item is likely to be seen in February bank statement because this transaction was made on the 31st of January, but we are not seeing them on the bank statement after we have checked. And that is why we are not having these dates, right? After we have checked. So notice again, we have another transaction on our bank statement, this particular amount, 80,000, transfer orange and apple juice, that we did not recognize. We did not capture it in our cash book, and this happens, right? Transaction that you made sales and you forgot to capture it and the customer sent the money. So at the point of reconciliation, you notice that there is an income from a sales that is not captured in your cash book, so we have to capture it. So we just put it as a 31st, the last day of the bank statement. So this is a deposit because it's sales, so call it cash customer. Okay, cash customer. Good. So we call this sales of, I think it's apple and pineapple juice, right? Apple and pineapple juice. Yes, pineapple juice. So that was 80,000. I think that was a supply maybe made to a retailer. So we have taxable, right? Because it's sales. So we use the tax code 01 and the bank is Z. So this is income from product sales. So we are seeing it as a 34/01/2024. Good. So I haven't captured all the differences we've seen. Like these items now, we are not putting date because we can't see it in the bank statement. So there's a possibility of seeing these items in February bank statement because this transaction was made like at the last day, but we can't find it in the last day. There's likely a timing difference. Good. So let's go back to the bank reconciliation column. Now we want to reconcile as such January. So first of all, you select the bank. Mind you, our major bank we transact with for the Amaka Fresh Juice business is AZ Bank. So I want to reconcile. My December is reconciled, right? I want to reconcile for January. So I have to put the last day of January. So 31/01, 2024. 2024, not 2023, right? Good. So notice I'm having the saying not balance because I've not put remember I told you, you select the date, select this, and put the closing balance of the bank statement. What is our closing balance? This is our closing balance for the bank statement. 1,519,000, right? This is our closing balance. 1,519,000 thereabouts. So we'll just pick this. Okay, so paste it. I'll just use the shortcut Alt ESV. So I'll paste it as values. Good. Wow. So as you can see, immediately we input the closing balance here. You notice that our book is balanced. our book is balanced. All you need to do is just to check your bank statement. Ensure you do the work, just as I've done the work. You do the work, look at your bank statement and your cash book and check where there are discrepancies. Do the entry. Whatever that is not in the cash book, let's say whatever that is in the bank statement that is not in the cash book, you recognize it. Now there are things that are in the cash book but not in the bank statement. Maybe due to timing differences, it has not appeared. So you go to your cash book manager and ensure that the date on the bank statement date is left blank until you see that transaction on your bank statement. So this is how it goes, right? So this is how you reconcile your cash book and your bank statement using this template. So before we just wrap up this, it's just for us to look at the cash report. So this section of the template just helps you to see the report of all the cash transaction you have made. As I earlier stated, you just input your start date, the bank code, and the transaction type, and everything here is automated. You don't need to touch anything here. You just see all your account income from products. You can see it for January, December, and January, and you will see the growth you're making. So other income you can see. Then for cost of sale is negative because it's a minus, right? Money is going out. Then anything that is coming in as income is in positive. Anything that is going out as expense or assets, it's a negative, right? So that is why you're seeing it on the negative side. So you can just use this report to see for each line item what you're spending, right? For these ones are negative because they are all expenses, right? So this is one good thing with the report section, right? When you go to the dashboard gives you a snapshot of the transactions you have done thus far based on the dates you select here. So here we have 1st of December to 31st December. So it will give us detail of everything. So the income we have, the expenses, just like a summary report. Then the assets, then you have the deposits, the withdrawals, right? So let's say we have through to 31st December 2024, no, 31st January, just as we have updated 31st January 2024, you can see. So for 31st January, you notice we made payment for tax. Previously, we made, I think it's January, not February, 31st January. Good. So 31st January 2024. So immediately you change this date. This is the only thing you are to input. This, and your bank code. You need to change if you want to get report on the dashboard. First of all, what date, from what date to what date, then for which of the bank. This is the three section you need to select, and everything here will be automated. Now, this sales control tax, remember in January it was 5,000. And if you go to our cash transaction, I think we made payment for that. We made payment for the one for December. We made payment for our sales tax. Look at it. We made 5,860. We have remitted this, right? So 5,000. So if you look at that dashboard and we go back to like December, you will notice that it's 5,012 2023, so that you can see the impact. Good. You see 5,860. Then when you come to transaction in January, we now remitted that 5,860. You understand? So immediately we remit it, that money won't be showing here. So what you are seeing are the sales tax for January, right? The sales tax we have for January, that's what you're seeing here. So when I go back to update this to January 2024, so it will just update for all the sales tax we have for January. And that's why you're seeing 37,465. All right. So when you go to your cash reports, so you will notice that for this sales tax, you can see sales tax control. December, we have 5,860. Then January, you're seeing 31. So we cleared in December. So in January, you can see we have in December and we cleared in January, right? So now we have 31 thereabout. So this is how this works. And you can give this a shot. I'll put the link on how to access this template in the description section. I believe you've gotten a better understanding, and you can see how easy with this template you can be able to reconcile your cash book and your bank statement. I would like you to share this to as many that you know that will benefit from the use of this template, right? So thank you for staying on, and do well to give this video a thumbs up, hit the subscription button if you are yet to subscribe, and also hit the notification bell to get notified whenever I upload value tips on this channel. I hope to see you in the next lesson. Bye for now.